In this class, we'll study more about thermodynamic concepts. Okay. So earlier there used to be a subject called thermodynamics in the third semester. Now we have eliminated that. Some topics which are very much essential, we have included it in the BPC. All right. So fundamental concepts we have introduced. It comes here and there. It is not a separate chapter or something. The topics on that comes here and there wherever necessary. All right. So not only here, even higher semester subjects also. So this particular term will come across commonly, quite commonly, thermodynamics. Okay, something to related with the heat, thermal, that is energy, dynamics, changes with respect to time. All right. So the basic fundamental concept we need to learn something now. First is system. Another is surrounding. Something that differentiate between a system and surrounding is the system boundary. Okay. Now, what is system? It is something that of interest to you. Anything outside, the outside universe, the whole universe outside that is the surrounding. Now, something that creates a clear demarking layer between the surrounding and system is the boundary. This is very important when you learn a process calculation or any engineering calculations. Okay, specifically by process calculation, we come across this frequently. Let me take an example. You take a test tube. Okay, in a test tube, you are adding the chemicals and some reaction is going on. That liquid system in which the reaction is going on is your system. Anything that is outside that is the surrounding. Okay, your test tube is the system boundary, the test tube glassware, right? So that itself forms the system boundary. Inside the system boundary, you have the system of your interest, that is the liquid in which reaction is going on. Let me say that you have added two chemicals, A and B, two chemicals, and when you add, the reaction requires some high temperature. What you will do? You will hold that test tube using a test tube holder and hold it over a flame, Bunsen burner. Flame is the one which is giving the heat, right? Now, who is giving, from where you are getting the heat to the system? It is from the surrounding. The Bunsen burner there, which is giving the heat, is the surrounding. The liquid inside the test tube forms the boundary. The liquid inside the test tube is your system. So you are using some energy from the surrounding into the system, right? You are heating your system using some energy from the surrounding. Bunsen burner forms the surrounding. All right. You may say that still air is there, that is there, this is there. So the transfer from that here, whether it affects your system is the first question. If it does not affect, simply neglect it. Something that affects your system directly is your surrounding. All right. Otherwise, if you say that I have so many things in the surrounding of it, right? So you may be having the light switched on, fan switched on, fine. Whether it is affecting your system, then it is your surrounding. If it doesn't, no, just neglect it. Lesser the complexity is, better is your solution. Reduce the complexity. So if you say that I want to include fan, you have added one complexity. In fact, it doesn't yield any result. Finally, you end up saying that fan has no effect. Then why to use it? Reduce your complexity. So immediate surrounding we are always considering. Okay. Immediate surrounding means something that affects largely. Yeah, this is the example I was supposed to give you. Two different types of example, right? So you can say that a conical flask, inside that liquid, a system, the boundary is a glassware, outside is surrounding. I gave you the example of a test tube, doesn't matter. Now this is a piston cylinder assembly. The gas inside the cylinder, right, confined within the cylinder is your system. You have come across this mechanical engineering is not there, no, for you. Elements of mechanical engineering subject was not there. I think your batch is not there. Earlier it was there. Have a piston cylinder assembly. Something like works that in your 2-cylinder stroke or 4-cylinder stroke engines in a petrol engine or a diesel engine. Similar concept. Okay. So anyway, it doesn't matter. You have a cylindrical mechanism in which a piston is present. It is moving up and down as per the expansion and compression of the gas. When gas compresses, this moves down. When gas expands, it moves up, right? So the piston or the entire thing outside, it is the surrounding. Gas inside this is the system. Fine. So the system is the gas which is inside the cylinder. All right. Let me not dig deep into this particular concept as of now, not necessary. Whenever it is necessary, I'll get back to that. So I just want to tell you what is system, what is surrounding, just give an example. Okay. Coming to the types of the system, based on some concept, we classified, all right. Uh, there is one more missing, yeah, correct. Okay. Now, based on some concept, we classify it as open system, closed system, isolated system. So totally there are three different types of system. Okay, you have only three types of system, not anything other than that you don't have. Only three types. Now, how do I classify a system as open, closed or isolated? Now, ask these two questions, one after the other. Both questions you have to ask, all right? Both questions you have to ask. Based on the response, you can identify, you can say a system is open, closed or isolated. Question is this, whether there is exchange of mass across the system boundary. Whether there is exchange of energy across the system boundary. Means across the system boundary, when I say from surrounding to system or system to surrounding, any direction, okay, forward or backward, any direction it works, no problem. But the question is there an exchange in any direction? If you say yes for both the things, it is open system. What it means? Well, in an open system, there is an exchange of mass and energy across the system boundary. Both are yes means exchange of mass and energy. Both are there. And next, closed system. In this case, one second. Okay, in this case, present mass exchange is absent. Okay, there is no transfer of, there is a transfer of energy across the system boundary. That is called as closed system. And in the third one, isolated system, there is neither exchange of mass nor exchange of energy. Okay, neither the mass nor the energy transmitted across the system boundary. So based on this particular condition, yes or no, or the exchange of mass and energy, you classify the system as open, closed and isolated. All right. So these are the basic definition of or classification of three different types. So let me find out from you whether the, let me put a poll here for human being in general. Okay, majority of you say that it is open system, and some of you say that it's a closed end, and very few, about 4, say isolated system. Okay, let me go back to the system explanation. Okay, it's an open system. In fact, human being is an open system. I have not given any restrictions over here. All right, I have not given any restriction. I have not mentioned any restrictive conditions over here. Okay, coming to the human being, just think about this. Whether we are respiring, the question is that, right? We are respiring, that means we are taking the air in, giving out the air, right? That means mass transfer is there. I'm taking some mass in, it goes into my body. I'm giving out some air, that means it is rich in carbon dioxide when it goes out. All right, so I'm giving out and giving in. Then food, I'm taking in and excreting also. That means the mass transfer is there from the human being to the surrounding. Human being is the system. Okay, anything that happens from outside is the surrounding. Okay, now that's about the mass. What about energy? If I'm sitting in a AC room, do I feel cold? Yes, so that means heat is being transmitted to me, or the heat may be transmitted from my side to the outside surrounding air. That's why I'm feeling it cold, right? So the energy transfer is there. Heat or energy transfer or mass transfer, you consider anything, both are yes. That's why human being, when I mention here, without any constraint, it is open system. All right. So the next one is human circulatory system. Okay, human circulatory system. Think it in this way before you answer. Think it in this way. Let me say that circulatory, you are not puncturing it open. Remember it. Okay. So the question number 2, and question is whether it is isolated or whether it is open system or it is a closed system. Now, what we are discussing is circulatory system. All right. So carefully think about it. Whether we are drawing the, remember it's a normal condition, not under surgery or anything. Okay, it's a normal condition. So I popped up another question in front of you for circulatory system. Majority of you are saying that it's a closed system, and there are few who are saying open, and there are some less number, yeah, 5 around, saying it's isolated system. Okay, so I mentioned about human circulatory system. It's a open system. Okay, so majority of you have mentioned it is a closed system, and very few have said open by chance. I don't know why it is open system. Don't you take oxygen and carbon dioxide in and out of your blood? Think about it. Don't you take carbon dioxide and oxygen in and out of the blood? Doesn't it get transmitted? Okay. Energy, coming to that, whether your temperature doesn't get increased or decreased, it is because of the blood temperature, right? You're taking there is thermometer sensors now, infrared. It measures the temperature of the blood, right? So the temperature of the blood is direct indication of your body temperature because it is circulating liquid. Okay, it takes up the body temperature. So human circulatory system is an open system where you, I guess you would have think it like a pipeline where the liquid is not transmitting. The blood is not transmitting. Yes, blood is not transmitting. But what about the glucose? When you have the food, right? It should be transmitted across, and the glucose enters the blood, right? It enters the blood. I'm not injecting it. It is within the system. It's a part of the system, right? So there are many other chemicals, proteins and other things which get transmitted into the human circulatory system, hormones and other things. So transfer of energy takes place. So transfer of mass also takes place, right? It's a open system. Okay. Now I'm not putting a poll for this. I'm just going to explain the remaining two. All right. Autoclave operated before reaching 15 psig pressure. At 15 psig pressure is nothing but 2 atmospheric pressure. We maintain an autoclave for sterilization purpose. You can think it like just like a cooker, pressure cooker in the kitchen you're using. It's almost same thing. It's nothing else. Okay. So you also will be using the same pressure cooker, and you call it as autoclave. It is exactly the same thing. It functions the same way. Okay. Before 15 psig pressure is reached, what happens? The pressure inside remains 15 psig. Nothing goes out. The system is closed, right? Yeah, 1 second. The system is closed. Another one, chicken egg. Now that is also generally we consider it as isolated, even though there is a hatching of the egg based on the temperature that is given. In fact, the temperature concept is slightly different there. All right, it doesn't. That is why that the calcium layer on the top of it. Okay, so it ensures that it is insulated completely. The system is completely insulated. All right, no mass, no energy goes in. So under certain circumstances, we consider chicken egg either isolated. Sometimes we consider it as closed under rare conditions. Okay, it's not open. Yeah. So these are the different examples. I hope some doubts if you have on the classification, I hope it would have been clarified by now. Now that's important for our next topics. Before we move on to the main topics, let us define something, some definitions. Let us take it up. State and state properties. State is nothing but an object in its condition. Okay, the state of an object in which it is present, you call it by a list of properties. Okay, that's called a state properties, and the state of that is called as you can call it as gas, liquid, or solid, or a mixture of it. All right. Now the property is nothing but a characteristic of the state, attributes to it, and you can identify certain parameters. Quantitatively you can evaluate it. Okay, if I say air is a gas, that's it, I can stop it there. Quantitatively I cannot do anything. Now the next question is, if I mention the state properties like air at 1 atmospheric pressure and room temperature, so let me mention the value 1 atmospheric pressure and 25 degrees Celsius. Now that is, those two are state properties. Temperature and pressure, what I mentioned, are the state properties, right? So what can I achieve? So you have already done the calculation. You have know, if I give you the pressure and temperature of the gas, you can find out, and you know the mole percent of nitrogen and carbon dioxide in the gas. You can find out the average molecular weight. You know it already. You can find out the density, and you can find out the molar volume. Based on many other properties can be calculated. That is what I meant by quantitatively evaluated. Given the pressure and temperature, which is state property, you can measure many things about either that gas or liquid or that solid. All right. So for quantification, we require something called as state properties. Right. Yeah. These state properties can be classified into two types called as intensive properties, also called as intrinsic properties. Both are same. Okay. Also known as. Another is extensive properties or otherwise intrinsic properties. Let us see what they are. Intensive properties, the properties of a matter that do not depend on the size or quantity of the matter. How much it is there is unimportant. Whatever it is, the intensive property remains same. On the other hand, for the extensive property, it depends on the system size or quantity or the amount of matter in the system. How much it is present, based on that the extensive property changes. Just let me give you an example of temperature. If I say the room temperature, if I say room temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, am I mentioning that I am sitting in a small cubicle, or I am sitting in a big auditorium, or I am just sitting outside? The volume of air is different, right? Volume of air surrounding me is different in a small room, or I'm sitting in an auditorium, or if I sitting outside under the tree, possibly the volume of the air surrounding me is different in all the cases. But if I mention 25 degrees Celsius in all three cases, it is the same. When I mention temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, I am not making a mention of the size, volume. I'm not making a mention there. All right. Same way, density. If I make a mention of density, if I say density of water at room temperature is 1000 kg per liter, or 1 kg per liter, if I say, right? So whether I take 1 liter of water, 100 ml of water, 1000 liter of water, doesn't matter. The density remains same. Okay, per liter this much kg. Right? The concentration, whenever we mention, it's always intensive property. On the other hand, if I make a mention of mass or volume or size of it, all right, any other property which depends on the quantity, they are extensive properties. Usually work done, or the heat transferred, all those things come under extensive properties. So I just given a list over here. You can go through that later. I'll just skip it right now. Okay, this is an extensive list which we will come across topics in future. Okay. So intensive properties, and you can see that they are specific in the sense you take any quantity, it remains the same. Extensive property, as you change the quantity, these values will also change. Okay. Then we state properties, what we mentioned. After that, we come across something called as functions. Okay, they are called as thermodynamic functions. There are two types of thermodynamic function. One is called as state function, another called as path function. That state property or state function, they are related. It's almost the same thing, right? But here we give it as a different name, state function. Now the state function, it depends upon the state of the system. Means state 1, at right now I have maintained at a temperature 1, Ti initial. I change the temperature, I taken it to the another temperature Tm. To increase this temperature, I can increase the temperature by one step, or I can do it by multiple steps. All right. So the final temperature remains same. The final temperature I am achieving from the initial, whether I would do it in one step or I take multiple steps, the final temperature remains same. Temperature is a state function. Another case is path function. Now, if I go by one path, change the state of a system, that means at one particular pressure and volume, state 1. Okay, some pressure and temperature is pressure, temperature, volume is present here. Some other pressure and temperature and volume is present at the point 2. I have to go from point 1 to point 2. I will take one path, path number 1. I'll take another path, path number 2. The states are different. You can see that pressure and volume, right? They are the state function. Whether you go by this route or this route, final pressure and volume remain the same here, P2 and V2. That doesn't change. That is a state function. But the work done over here and the work done over here are different. All right. In the unit number 2 or unit number 3, we'll come across this work done again. There we'll find out that work done is nothing but integral of PV from P1 to P2. Okay, that means area under the curve. We'll draw the same thing. We'll find out the area under the curve. All right, there we'll see again this concept. But for time being, you note that work done when you go by one path or go by other path in the paths are two different things. The work done is a path function depending upon the path how much it is. All right. Now let me give you a simple analogy over here. Say that a student, one among you, is in Nitte right now, wants to go to Mangalore. All right, wants to go to Mangalore. Starts from Nitte, wants to go to Mangalore. Now, let me consider the function, thermodynamic function as distance. All right, what he does is, here, let me take this one. What he does is, let me combine the two different things here. Okay, he wants to go from Nitte to Mangalore. There are two options with him. One, he will go up to Padubidre by one bus. From Padubidre, he will take another bus to Mangalore. Two buses he has to take. All right, from Nitte to Padubidre one bus, Padubidre to Mangalore another bus. Now this is the requirement. Okay, two steps. Okay, two steps he has taken. Now the question arises, two things here. One, the distance he has covered. Another, the amount that he has spent. All right, means what I mean is he will go by one method is he will go directly from Nitte to Mangalore. Okay, he can go directly from Nitte to Mangalore. That is one path. Another one, he can go by two different things. That is bus number one, bus number two. Remember, if he does that, the distance covered by him is same whether he goes by direct bus or he takes two different bus. Amount he pays to the bus charges is lesser, possibly it's lesser in direct bus, more when it takes two different buses, right? So there is a difference in those two cases. The amount that he gives, bus charge, is the path function. The distance he has covered is the state function. All right, it's an equivalent to that. So think in this direction, you may be able to understand. All right. So we need the definitions only as of now. Let me go ahead with this. Then we come across another concept of equilibrium. Okay. So the equilibrium concept, something like this, you can think of. One, you have a system in different conditions. Condition number one, condition number two. Okay. Initially, red color and blue color. Then you get them in contact with each other. This is called as phase boundary. Okay, two different phases are there. There is a boundary across which the transfer takes place. After some time, let me say that it's a hot water and a cold water. Okay, or a hot object and a cold object. When you connect them together, the temperature transmits and the whole two object becomes with the same temperature. Okay, now let me define equilibrium state. A condition where no interaction between system and surrounding occur. If I consider this red block as system and this blue black block as surrounding, all right, when I get in touch with each other, okay, one is at high temperature, one is at a cold temperature, obviously there is a transfer of energy from here to here. That continues over the time. After some time, both the temperatures will be equal and there is no further interaction between the system and the surrounding. Okay. Now, during this time, you may say that it may not be zero. Yes, it may not be zero. Net rate, okay, forward and backward, infinitesimally, not infinite. It's carefully watch this word, infinitesimally small, or we call it as negligible. You know about infinite, a very large number. Do you know what is the value of infinite? Anybody knows what is infinity? Infinity. How much is infinity? All of you all say big number. What is that big number? Remember one thing, infinity is a relative term. Infinity is a relative term. That's why we say big number. Something that is big to you may not be big to somebody else. For example, take the perspective of a microorganism which is in the 10 power minus 6 size, right? Microns is in micron size. For that, 1 kilometer, 10 power 3 meter is very big because microbe is 10 power minus 6 meter size, 1 micron. Then you are saying you want that to compare it with the, it has to cover a distance of 1 kilometer, let me say. So totally it is 10 power 6 downside, 10 power 3 upside, total 10 power 9. It's a big number, right? For you who are in a range of 1 meter, your height, right? More than 1 meter. So for you, it is 1000 meter. The number is small. So relatively, it is a smaller number for you. For a microbe, it is a big number, right? That's what we call infinite. All right. So comparative relation it is. It's not the exact number. Also, always you don't think that infinite means something like 10 power 15 and 16. That is for you. For you, it is 10 power 15 or 14 or something, maybe a big number. For a small object, even 1000 could be a big number, infinite. All right. That's why we mention it as very large number instead of infinite. Technically, it's a good word to use that it's a very large number. Infinitesimally is exactly the inverse of it. 1 by infinity, you can say. It is not 0. Remember, 1 by infinity, we generally write 0. Wrong. It is not 0. It's never 0. It is a very small number. Okay. If you say that 10 power 9 is infinity, inverse of it is 1 by 10 power 9. That is 10 power minus 9. All right. If you write, it is not 0. It is 0 point followed by 8 zeros, then 1. That's not equal to 0, right? So that small value, we call it as infinitesimally small, very small. Instead of very small, or that's negligible, because we don't use that for a calculation, right? So something that you can neglect out of the calculation, we call it as infinitesimally small. So remember, the heat gets transmitted. The heat transfer is there, but that heat transfer is very, very small. All right. The rate is there, but that rate is very small. So state property remains same across the two different phases at the end. All right. So net change, yeah, there are 4 different types of equilibrium. Okay, let me come to that question later. One is thermal equilibrium, called as net change in temperature is 0. Okay, thermal equilibrium means it's a terminology. Equilibrium state is a general terminology. Types. Thermal equilibrium. If I say system is in thermal equilibrium, means what? Both the side temperature, system and surrounding have the same temperature. No change in temperature, or across the system boundary, temperature heat transfer is 0. Another is mechanical equilibrium. Pressure across the two system, delta P. Delta P is 0. Okay. Remember, it is not 0. It is a very small number. We call it as infinitesimally small, negligible, equal to 0. That is why this word comes here. Okay. Even though I mention it as 0, it is very, very small. Change is very, very small, negligible. Chemical equilibrium. Net change in chemical potential is 0. Instead of chemical potential, let me use the word rate of reaction. Okay. Net change in rate of reaction is 0. When all three, this may be independent. In a given system, a system may be in thermal equilibrium, may not be in the mechanical equilibrium. Another system can be in chemical equilibrium, may not be in a thermal equilibrium, possible. Okay. Now, if your system is under all three of this, it is thermal, it's under thermal equilibrium, it's also under mechanical equilibrium, also under chemical equilibrium. In such case, you can call your system is under thermodynamic equilibrium. All right. So thermodynamic equilibrium means all three equilibriums coexist. In unit operations, you would come across by now something called as steady state. Okay. If you come across the word steady state, remember it is different from equilibrium. Okay. Equilibrium and steady states are not the same. They are different. Okay. Equilibrium means two sides temperatures are same. The rate at which the transfer takes place is 0. Under steady state, with respect to time, there is some rate. Rate is positive. Okay, under steady state, the rate at which, rate, when I say word rate, with respect to time, it is some quantity flowing with respect to time. Okay, so under steady state, something is flowing, maybe a heat transfer, maybe a mass transfer, volumetric transfer, whatever it is flowing, which is not 0 for steady state. Equilibrium, the rate is 0. There is no transfer. All right, that's the major difference between an equilibrium and steady state. There is one more. What is driving force? Driving force is nothing but some term or some energy or some gradient. Let me call it as a gradient. Some gradient that forces a transfer to take place. Okay. If the heat has to transfer, what should happen? There should be a temperature gradient, delta T. If there is a temperature difference between the two, heat transfers. That is called as a driving force. Driving force is change in temperature. Delta T is the driving force. If the flow has to take place, pressure difference should be there. Higher pressure here, lower pressure here. Delta P is positive. So that is why the flow takes place. Okay, mass flow takes place. Or concentration gradient is there. So that is called as driving force. All right. Whenever there is a driving force, what happens? The flow takes place. Under equilibrium, the driving force is zero. The driving force is zero under. Yeah, if you have any doubts or anything regarding the syllabus or course or anything, assignment or anything, you can put it in the discussion window on the top. You have a discussion window here, right? Discussion forum. In this discussion forum, you can put it. Yes.